So, Calvinism. But I thought it'd be really interesting to look at kind of how John 1 is, I would argue, best read in support of what we might call prevenient grace, or more likely, and I'm pulling it up over here, more likely a Wesleyan or Arminian model of salvation. And of course, that can mean many different things. But let me open this up right now. Often people will pivot and talk extensively about predestination, foreknowledge, divine agency, and all that sort of stuff. And while that's very well and good, it seems to miss out on what the Wesleyan, what he or she, is actually arguing for. So, I'm going to pull up John 1 right now. John 1. And I'm going to just walk through John chapter 1, which is the often called a prologue. It's probably not a prologue per se, but in any sense, it contains kind of a summation or a summary and an introduction to all that John in his gospel is going to be talking about. So the goal of this video is not to be exhaustive. It's going to only go about 10 minutes, or probably another 8 minutes. But let's look at this, and I'm just going to give you a Wesleyan Arminian reading from John 1 to John 1:18 and how the entire passage supports, or best supports, the Wesleyan model of salvation. So first, anarche ein halaga. So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with, or who was with God in the beginning. Through him, all things came into existence, or were made, and without him, or independent of him, or separate from him, not one thing has come into existence. So already, and we'll continue with verse 4, in him was life, and the life was the light of all people, or of people. So already, the first 4 verses communicate, one, of course, the preexistence of Jesus Christ, the sovereignty of the Word, his creative power, and his presence, but also the fact that he is the universal creator of all people. Specifically, all things, panta, were made through him, by his agency, by his creative power, by his working. So without him, nothing has come into being. So basically, Jesus Christ is the creator of all things, and that is specified as all life and people. In verse 4, zoe, and also ton anthropon. So life, probably referring to biological and spiritual life of sorts, or at least physiological life as it was meant to be. And he is the light of all humankind. So light and creator are not synonyms, but two sides of the same coin. From creation is light, and light is kind of that which infuses and imparts God's creative presence and power, hence life. So Jesus Christ is the creator of all things, and is the maker of all things, and is the source of all things. That is, all human beings. So, specifically, the Christology of the Wesleyan model is Christocentric all the way down. It doesn't begin with a model of sin. It begins with a model of the doctrine of God. So it's not about a divine decree. It is about Jesus Christ being the center of everything, which attests to the high Christology of the New Testament very early on. And the light shines in the darkness, or through the darkness, or pierces the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it, or overpowered it, or suppressed it. So that is the light, that is Jesus Christ, overflows everything, and the darkness, the powers of this world, are not able to stop it. And so already we have all of creation, no exceptions made for people groups. It's all people are created by God. And also the darkness, the principalities, the rulers, the sovereignties, the things that go bump in the night, the so-called gods, the entities, think the divine council, as Michael Heiser's popularized. These things have not overpowered the light. The light still shines, and all people are created by this God. Thus, they are not of the darkness, or at least they do not have their source in darkness. So, and of course, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that all might believe through him, or because of him, that is, because of his word. So the same pantos here in verse 7 is probably, or the pantos here, or the pantes here, is probably the same panta in verse 3, referring to all of creation. So he himself was not the light. He only came as a witness, or someone who testifies concerning the light. So all might believe through him. So of course there's a subjunctive ahina clause, what's And so you have to interpret the hena here. Is it in order that or the result? Which seems to imply a sort of contingency here, that all might believe in him, or so that all might believe in him, or in order that all might believe in him. It doesn't indicate causal determinism. It indicates a hope and a result, or what Stan Porter calls a projection or a visualization. The goal of this is so that all might believe in him. Does it mean that all will believe in him, i.e. universalism, which only works in Reformed theology and Reformed soteriology? Or does it mean that all will have the same light given to them in response to the principalities and power of darkness? I think the second model makes sense. So he himself in verse 8 was not the light. He only came as witness, as a witness, or as one who testifies concerning the light. And number 9, the true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. Or probably, and there's an issue of how to translate that, but it could be the true light coming in, so the true light, which gives light to all people who are coming into the world. So that is, either way, you have Christ gives light to everyone who's in the world, or Christ is the light that comes into the world. Grammatically or syntactically, there's debate about that. But whatever the point is, all people have this light and are given this light. So that refers to so the doctrine of prevenient grace is not about anthropology, it's about Christology and revelation. That the revelation of Jesus Christ is confrontational. It confronts the world in her sin and in our darkness specifically, and calls us back to our Creator. So specifically, he gives light to everyone coming into the world. No, there is not a single person that is immune. The cosmos here, so cosmos and anthropos and panta, or pas, are symmetrical. They all refer to the same created world of agents and life that the Lord, it'd be the Lord, the Word created in verse 1 through 3. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not know him or recognize him. So the cosmic order did not receive him or know him, didn't recognize him as the Creator, because darkness. And so so that's a universal cosmological anthropological statement in response to John's Christological claim. Verse 11, he came to that which was his own, and his own did not receive or welcome or accept him, take hold of him. So there's a welcoming element, but also an acceptant or epistemological or agentival element to this. They did not accept him. There's an active component there. They were refusing to accept him or welcome him. But in verse 12, and this is where it gets helpful, yet to all who did accept him, take him, welcome him, accept him for themselves, he gave to them the right to become children of God, the ones believing in his name. So belief or faith or faithfulness or the fullness of faith happens not because God has predestined you, but because of welcoming Jesus. The logic of the verse is simple in Greek. Those who accepted him, he gave the right to become children of God, the ones believing in his name. So it begins with acceptance, a confirmation of who you are in Christ because of that acceptance. And of course, Christ is the ultimate creator. And it is clarified as the ones believing in his name. Children not born of natural descent, nor of human decision or of a husband's will, but born of God. That is through faith. How do you get born of God? Well, you accept his Son, Jesus Christ. In verse 14, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory as, well, the one and only Son, as the NIV renders it, from the Father, full of grace and truth. And then, of course, no one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in the closest relationship with the Father, has made him known. So, Christology in John, sorry for the sweat, it's very hot in Southern California right now, begins with the assertion of Jesus Christ as Lord, as the creator of all living things, and it affirms the agency and the necessity of faith in response to the universal lordship of Jesus Christ, who is our creator and our light. Everyone is given this light, and this light is given so that we might believe in him. And John the Baptist, he's not called John the Methodist for a reason, is given as one who testifies concerning the light, to point people towards the light. And so we need to take all of this seriously. This fits very, very well with the Wesleyan doctrine of holiness and of the universal love of God and the desire that all people might be saved through him, and the necessity and need for all people to have faith in Jesus Christ. It does not fit well with the Calvinist model.